Hi, my name is Whitney Jackson, and I'll be doing my presentation on W.E.B. Du Bois, Individuality in Society. So, William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, more commonly known as W.E.B. Du Bois, was born on February 23rd, 1868, in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. He would go on to pursue his career as a sociologist, an educator, a writer, editor, poet, scholar, and he would also be well established as an influential leader in the American Civil Rights Movement. He was the first black man to receive a PhD from Harvard, and he was also among the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. Some fun facts is that he had 2 children with his wife Nina Gomer, and he also became a naturalized citizen of Ghana in 1963 at the age of 95. In the same year, he died on August 27th. One of the major topics that Du Bois focused on was the intersection of individual free will and that of society. And during this time, many of the top philosophers debated on whether or not humans were predestined for certain outcomes or if they had free will to choose their own path. So no one human can definitively answer such a question about fate in the universe. So another question was, how much does society shape an individual, and if social factors play a primary role in determining an individual's fate? Du Bois argued that an individual is generally free, but only to the extent that his or her choices do not attempt to defy physical and social law and regulations. The pragmatic approach was echoed by many of the top sociologists and leaders at the time. This was largely due to the scientific advancements of medical and scientific research, as well as the legitimization of the field of psychology. So what is the pragmatic approach to viewing the individual within society? Pragmatism is generally defined as a realistic approach to understanding the world around us. It is rooted in reality, data, and science. The pragmatist sees the world for what it is and not what they wish it to be. Pragmatism is a philosophical movement that includes those who claim that an ideology or proposition is true if it works satisfactorily, that the meaning of the proposition is to be founded in the practical consequences of accepting it, and that the unpractical ideas are to be rejected. It's important to note that Du Bois was heavily influenced by the teachings of William James, one of his professors at Harvard. This can be seen in how Du Bois' language and analysis reflect many of the teachings in James' dilemma of determinism. And in particular, to James' conceptualization of the will's independence, it is the ability to choose the course of action not fixed by parts of the universe already laid down in terms of the concept of chance, a debt that Du Bois acknowledges when he describes his view of Jamesism, pragmatism. This summarizes Du Bois' pragmatic and realistic approach to an individual and society. Pragmatism as a mechanism for change. Cornell West classified Du Bois in the category of pragmatists. That is, Du Bois and his pragmatic peers avoided abstract ideas and generally shunned focusing on traditional philosophical problems altogether, and turning instead to the empowerment of individuals and communities. What Du Bois adds to the pragmatists, according to West, is the impassioned and focused concern on the wretched of the earth, and for thinking about how one can alleviate their plights. To this extent, he acknowledges that individuals must come together and work together as one unit to achieve a common goal. Du Bois' problematic change and influences. Du Bois suggests that it takes many people to come together to bring about a realistic change, and that individuals must set aside their differences for the betterment of society. He believed that an individual must set aside their ego to come together to invoke this change. Speaking at Harvard's third annual convention of the Religious Education Association, he talks about setting aside differences and taking a realistic approach. At that third annual convention at Harvard, DuBois said, "Once this is recognized, then comes the only practical synthesis in this world of self-sacrifice and self-development, and the recognition of myself as one of a world selves, not as all, but as one, not as nothing, but as one. Here that the social consents must come, without wavering, without compromise. If a world full of men, even of differing or different men, we cannot, on account of cowardice, treat any of these men less than men. We cannot slink back to Darwinism to discover excuses or whiten our lives by laying them on the Lord. It is the active and inanimate heart to heart knowledge of your neighbors, high and low, black and white, employer and employed. It means to a firm planning of human ideals and the training of children to be through their doing and simply not to do through their being."